name is Mike. I'm one of the owners here of Arvida, and I want to introduce Jeffrey Eisner for coming here. Everybody was coming short notice, and I know some of you came from far away too. You guys only some flew here from Ohio or drove 6 hours.
But not just for this, your family you've seen.
We just came a day earlier. Just for you. No, we just want to.
Should be working.
I am not worried.
So he's going to do a little demo, Q&A while he's doing it, and then afterwards he's going to do book signing, and then we're doing raffle.
Yeah. Oh yes, a little giveaway. Yeah. So great.
So you know about that.
Great.
I'll let you go.
Well, thank you. Should we roll the music? Yes. Okay. Cool. I would never want to steal it. I know Madonna's playing, I think, tonight, right? So I'm honored you came to this, and I promise not to start 2 hours late. I mean, but first of all, it's
Adjust the mics.
every time I come to a bookstore, and I want to thank Mike and Sam and Kristen and Logan over here, who's practically the mayor of Orange County in his own way. He runs the Frida Cinema. It's amazing. Check that out. And it just brings me such joy to see people filling places, small businesses like this, bookstores. It's special. And the fact that you all came here, it means the world. And I know we had short notice with this whole thing got thrown together very quickly. So thank you for spending a little bit of your time with me. It means the world. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I don't really know where to start. I'm never scripted. I just speak, and that's just my shtick and what I do. So I'm just going to get right into something very simple. At this point, I've written four cookbooks for this thing called the Instant Pot. You can see here. Yes, I don't know how it happened, and it was one a year, and I can assure you this. But this was brown 4 years ago. Brown, and it was a little more of it too. But I'm telling you, it's wild doing this and churning these things out as fast as I can. And I'm going to just show you really quickly from the first book, the OG, the orange one, how to make mac and cheese in an Instant Pot with no straining. You can literally do this in a hotel room. If you're going to Disneyland and you're in Anaheim, you want to save some bucks, or if you're camping and you have a generator, whatever, or you do a kitchen remodel, or you just don't have the time, you just want to do a quick dinner in your kitchen. This is how you're going to do it, no straining. You're going to see how easy this is to make. I'm assuming a lot of you have done this by now, right?
Yes.
All right, good. So what I want to do now is this is a 6-quart Instant Pot. It's plugged in. Does it say off on it? Isn't that so confusing? Oh, do you need it? Do I turn the microphone? Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good there. Yeah.
Oh, so you can pick me up. Oh, I see.
Thank you.
All right. An easy pickup here. It's always confusing, by the way, when you see an Instant Pot, because it says off, but it obviously has power to it because it says off electric on the display. It is off. Nothing's happening right now, but I actually always suggest if you're not actually doing this, unplug it, because that will actually fade into the display like thing. We want it to look all nice and shiny and pretty, right? So put that in, ready to go. Super easy. It doesn't get easier than this. In fact, this is the recipe that convinced me to share with the world how easy this thing is to use and how not scary it is. Because we all know that pressure cookers have a little bit of a scary rap to them from back in the day when you put them on the stove and it looked like a torture device and you had to clamp them down. But it's not like that with this, right? It's so easy to watch. Don't even believe, just watch your own eyes. We're going to take some pasta. I use a pound, and you can use any kind of short form pasta, be it macaroni. I like to use Celentani. It's like little corkscrews, like little pigtails or something like that. Or cavatappi and Celentani are synonymous. You'll see, and I'll talk about some pasta in the next book called pasta. A lot of pastas fall under 2 different names. Pastabilities, you are on it. I love that. I'm gonna just put it in the Instant Pot. This is a 6-quart pot. You can do this in an 8-quart pot. You can do it in a 3-quart pot. But if you're doing it in a 3-quart pot, do it half this, okay? Put that right in there. And then the next thing I want to do is just add in, we're going to pretend this is my favorite brand, this broth. What would that, if you guys are going myself, you know it better than bouillon, which is my favorite thing in the world. It's when I first learned about it, I just said, because I get excited when I find like anything that's easier to share with someone's life. Like, I want to share. Did you hear about this thing? I love that product so very much. And we're gonna pretend that this is what this
So you
is.
feel
I'm
like
using,
you're cheating?
what's that?
You feel like you're cheating?
Well, we're gonna say it's in here, but it's I'm using 4 cups of a broth. You can use any broth of your choice. So we're doing mac and cheese. Let's keep it vegetarian. I'm using vegetable broth, but you can use chicken broth, garlic broth, better than bouillon does garlic. And the way better than bouillon works, by the way, it has a little jar. It's a base, and you mix 1 teaspoon of the base with 1 cup of water, and presto, 1 cup of broth. It's that simple, and there are so many different flavors. There's even a mock chicken, which is not actually chicken; it's vegetarian. There's organic flavors. There's reduced sodium. The sky's the limit. I'm adding 4 cups of this, or a quart, right into, or 32 ounces, right into the pot, and then there we go. I'm going to add in some butter. The Long Island accent gets turned on extra thick when I go to places outside my realm. So this happens, you know. I'm using 4 tablespoons or a half a stick of salted butter because I like it salted. Right there. Oh, wait until it smells the food when it's done. We'll see how that goes. We put that in there, and I'm gonna just take my little spoon here to smooth out the pasta so it's mostly submerged in the broth. It's okay if it keeps a little bit above, that's fine. And now that's it. That's really all I have to do for this recipe. There's no sautéing ahead of time. However, one of the key differences between a slow cooker and a pressure cooker or an instant pot is that you can sauté in it. You can turn on and treat it as if it's a pot on the stove with the sauté function. So if I wanted to brown an onion or sauté some meat or any kind of vegetable or whatever ahead of time, I could do that. I don't have to do that for this recipe. This is like, I just got home, I have no time at all, the kids have to eat something, I don't want to give them the stuff in the box. So here we go. Put that lid on, I'm going to secure it. Some models like constantly are changing these days will automatically seal for you. Others have a little valve you have to make sure it's in the sealing position. I see the pro section over here. They know, like we know. I want to hit 6 minutes for pressure cooking time on this, and I'm going to go to the pressure cook button. And let's say 35 minutes. So this is right out of the box, so I guess that's what they defaulted to. I'm gonna hit the minus button until I'm all the way down to 6, and that's it. 6, okay? And there's no start button on this model. If your model has a start button, you have to hit it to go. If it doesn't, after a few moments of doing nothing, you're a little late. You missed your cue. Now this is the part where some people who've never pressure cooked before get a little confused. They're like, but wait, you 6 minutes, but it just says on. Well, why isn't it 6 minutes? It's not really 6 minutes of time because right now what's happening is building the pressure. The heat is coming from the bottom of the pot. All that broth is going to begin to boil. Excuse me, I won't forget to say. And basically what's going to happen, because this lid is on top and secure on there, when the steam begins to accumulate and go up and up and up, it's going to be this little pin. It's going to pop up, and then the lid locks. It's a locking mechanism. It can't open at that point. And it's at pressure, and then it will begin to count down from those 6 minutes. In my books, which do I have one? I don't even have, but you know what it is. Oh, somebody hold it up. Oh, look at this! Look at this! I actually have one. I just wanted to see everyone hold it up. I'm just kidding. Actually, can I borrow that for a second? Thank you. What's your name? Tony. Thank you, Tony. What was I saying? You'll see in the books, this is here, page 32, right? It's a timing bar for every recipe, and I actually account for the pressure building time into it. So I say between 10 to 15 minutes on this. It's a range. The altitude might play a little factor into that and all that. So there's really no guesswork. And at this point, the prep is done. We're done with this. The end results are going to be adding in the rest of our dairy, which is going to be some cheese and possibly other things if you wanted to, but I'm keeping this super simple here. Another thing about pressure cooking, by the way, dairy. I never pressure cook any dairy typically ever except for butter ahead of time. Not milk because it can curdle. I don't want that to happen, it can scorch. And we have to always be mindful when we're pressure cooking that nothing burns to the bottom of the pot. That's why we don't really typically put in tomato products ahead of time. If we do it, it's very few, like a thin tomato situation, or a small amount of tomato, like diced tomatoes, where there's a larger amount of broth, so it's kind of liquidy. That's why also at the end of the day, when I'm pressure cooking something and we have a sauce at the end, and we don't want it to be super thin, well, I have this magic thing that I do with the cornstarch slurry, because the slurry thickens in a hurry, and that's what I do. Anyway, I'm just going to make this I want it to be about you and ask you whatever you want to ask me up here while I'm here, and I'm gonna just go for it. Tell me your name and where you're from.
Sharon from Tustin.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
No, I'm glad you're here. I was wondering about the shredded cheese because I read that, oh, you're not supposed to use the shredded because whatever's coating on it. And what does it do? Because I'm sometimes lazy and I don't want to shred it.
The answer is very simple. And honestly, if you want to use the bag stuff, I'm telling you right now, pretty much almost every recipe in my books, this is what I use.
Okay.
You can 100% you go fancier and use an aged cheddar that you're going to grate yourself. You might shred your knuckles too at the same time doing it. You can. There's no or right or wrong. And there are going to be people who are going to argue with you and argue with me, and they're going to say, you don't know, you don't want to use that. Honestly, use what you want to use. And you know what? It saves, if you're on a budget and you don't want to spend all, you can sometimes get a bag of this for $2. You know what I mean? It's like 2 cups of cheese. You can eat that. And if you want to do a quick meal, fine. But the truth is, you can do regular orders. All right. Any other questions? Hello, welcome. All right. Well, if you feel free, by the way, at any point to shoot your hand up in the air, and I'm happy to answer it. Yes. And you get your name and where you're from.
Allison.
Allison from Wilmington Beach.
What about the new Mount Gary Borson? You tried using that?
Borson. How many people heard of Cooking with Borson because of me introducing it to you? Do you see this? Are you watching? You want to turn my phone call?
Thanks.
You can 100% use non-dairy Borson. You can use non-dairy Borson. If you don't do, let's say a recipe calls for cream or heavy cream, and you want to use a non-dairy, unsweetened non-dairy milk, you can do that. It's perfectly fine. Sometimes the consistency is slightly different, and it might be, but you can do it. There are always ways to alter a dish. Yeah. Yes.
I'm Rebecca from Descanso,
Yeah.
which is San Diego County, mountains, rural,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Goats and, mini donkeys and everything. That's where I live.
I'm sure it's gorgeous.
I love it, but I'm originally from New Jersey,
Where?
Patterson.
Really? Patterson, New Jersey. I drive past it on 80 all the time. Yeah.
Well, no, originally Cuba, then Jersey.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But, I was okay, so, first time I got my Instant Pot, just kind of overheard somebody saying, this is really good, you should use it. And I just bought one, and then I bought your book, because your book shows exactly how to do everything. I mean, where do you push the button, all this stuff. So what I wanted to ask you is, any chance that you're thinking about maybe doing one for the Instant Dutch oven? Just blows my mind because I have no idea how to use it.
Yeah. So I'm never going to say never, ever, because I don't know what the truth is. But I feel like if I was ever going to do something Dutch oven-wise, I would do one that's more stovetop because it's more universal. And I feel like not as many people have that product from the company, per se. So I want to do something that's more universal if I were to do something like that. And I have that appliance, and it's great. But it's really almost like a cast iron Dutch oven mixed with a kind of like a slow cooker at the same time. To me, and it's good. But I don't think I have plans to necessarily do a book for that in the future. After 4 books for the Instant Pot, that's why I'm moving. I think I needed a fresh change for something a little bit different. So let me actually tell you about this next book. I'm saying I feel like I should do karaoke while I'm here. Why not? So I was very fortunate enough to get 5 book deals in 5 years, which is insane. And I don't understand how it happened still, but I guess maybe it's because people enjoy these books clearly, and if they don't sell, that's not gonna happen. So it's because of all of you that these books have happened. So I need to thank you again from the bottom of my heart, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. I need you to understand that first and foremost. The next book, it's not Instant Pot, but it is just as simple as far as I'm concerned. Because it is literally, it's called Pastabilities. It's for pre-order. It comes out in September because honestly, my other books came out in April of each year consecutively, starting with 2020, which no doubt this book came out at the worst possible time, but also the best possible time. So yeah, I think at that time when the first one came out, it was people had an Instant Pot that was sitting collecting dust because they were afraid to use it for 2 years, and you, whether you liked it or not, you were cooking at that time. Everything was closed. I mean, you couldn't even go to McDonald's at this point. So what are you going to do? I just felt like, you know, at this point, whatever I was going to do next was going to be something just as simple. So the next book is Pastabilities, and it's 1 pot to boil water and cook your pasta, and 1 pan to make your sauce. I'm going to be more specific in the book what kind of pasta, what kind of pot or pan to use. Nothing fancy. I'm talking a saute pan to make the sauce. Do you know what those are? Saute pans, it's basically a larger, between 4.5 to 5 quarts, and it has high walls on the side. So it's easy to, it reduces splatter. It's easy to keep things in there because at the end, when we're done cooking the pasta, we simply strain it, or we reserve it, and I let you know very clearly if you need to save some of that pasta water, because that's sometimes a magical thing there. And then you dump that pasta with it strained into the pot with the sauce, and you just toss, and that's it. It's very easy. All the pasta in this book, this is what you're using. You're not making your own. I'm not having you do that. There's a million other pasta books that are gorgeous and beautiful for skilled people who want to make pasta. Get one of those books for that, because they deserve that. This is for somebody who doesn't really want to have a lot of fuss but wants to do a meal that's going to be super easy and delicious. And I'm talking a chapter for meat, a chapter for chicken, a chapter that's a huge cuisine, a chapter that's a huge vegetarian section, al forno, which is baked pastas. You got lasagna, you got ziti in there. And being that I'm Jewish, I had to put some Jewish things in there. We have noodle pudding or kugel in there. We have kasha varnishkis. I don't know if you know what those are, but you will if you get the book. They're basically bow ties with buckwheat roast. It's actually delicious and sauteed onions and mushrooms. It's really good. We have soups because there's tons of soups that have pasta. So there's a whole soup chapter, and there's a 1 pot chapter as well, where you can use a pot on your stove into it 1 pot. Of course, I'd be remiss if I did it in that chapter. Also tell you how to do it in this. So there is a little bit of a throwback in that book to the Instant Pot. But we go all over the place, and I take you all over the place. You're going to have your classic marinara sauce in there, bolognese, alla vodka, Alfredo, a pesto, all those. But you're also going to have crazy new things like a paprikash ragu. You're going to have this one that I recently came out with, sausage and with biscuits and the gravy for breakfast. I do gnocchi instead of sausage. I just try to create things that are a little bit more different than outside the box while keeping it classic. And it's really pretty. The book it's very similar in terms of its look. It's all step by step, and beautiful color photos for every step. It's super fun looking and it's super clear. I also let you know in the book when to start boiling the water, when to start the sauce, when to add the pasta to the water, take a break and do this. So it's like I want everything timed at the same time for you. And there's a huge in the introduction pasta glossary also, where I divide everything up by scoopy pastas, tubular pastas, long pastas, showing a little picture of each and a fun description of what they all are, how long they take to cook al dente time, so you can easily reference these things. Yeah, so the book is just, it was a huge labor of love, and I'm really proud of it. And it's in its final moments of revisions, and I'm just like so ready for it to be done and go off to print. And so I'm really excited to share that with you. If you love these books, I really do think you'll enjoy that one. I'm sweating so much, excuse me. If you have any questions, again, feel free. Yes, and your name, please.
My name is Kathy, and I'm from Irvine with my husband of almost 50 years, who didn't want to sit with me.
Well, the couch is more comfortable, right?
I didn't have so much of a question as a thank you. Thank you for the videos.
Yes.
They are spectacular. Before I attempt it, because I'm not a good cook, and my dear will tell you I'm not a good cook. I can do the blue box macaroni and cheese, so this is going to be a good one for us. But I want to thank you because I want a chili cook-off with your
You said that in the video, right?
Yeah.
Thank you for filling the cook.
Yeah, and I did, and it was too spicy for me. And my husband doesn't eat beans, but it was, everybody else loved it.
Yeah, there's a debate on the beans to chili. Do you
Yeah.
add them? Do you not add them? Do this and that. People will say if you don't add them, then I'm like, well, if you don't add it, isn't it sauce? Otherwise, I mean, how do I differentiate it? I'm not gonna. I get it. I totally understand. And it's either you want the beans or not the beans. But I want to thank you for that because it's why I do what I do, and it's the fuel that keeps me going. And I can't believe I've been doing this for almost 7.5 years. That's really insane to think. But it's the fuel that keeps me going, and there's no better reward to hear that somebody like you, tries my recipe much and enjoys on top of it all.
And the
It's-
ribs.
Oh, you like ribs? There, it doesn't get much easier. Some apple juice and some ribs, and then that's it. Do we have? See, now, do you see on this, by the way? Is it a high? Do you see? You're going to start seeing that in this little tip here. There's going to be some steam coming out. You see it? Kind of. You're going to see it. Trust me. It's going to start getting there. And then this little pin, because that's the pressure, is going to pop up. You know that part in the movie The Money Pit? You ever see that? Like the little turkey flies to the window and the little timer pops up? That's what that's going to be like. Yeah, this is just, you see it starting to get a little bit more intense here, right? Okay, you're going to see. It's like a tea kettle or something. And that's when it's going to start to pop up and start counting down. So doing these books, by the way, people ask, like, what is it like? What do you have to do it? And the truth is, I didn't know what I was doing when I first started. All I know is I had a few interesting offers to do a cookbook, and none of them they were mostly bogus. And then a serious publisher contacted me once, and I was like, okay, this person is legit. I have to. And then we had a discussion, and his name is Michael Zervin. He's been my editor on all my books. Now you see this, right? Yeah. Any second now, that's going to go right up. It's almost like I said, like a tea kettle whistling. If this was the tea was ready, it would be done at this point. But again, that's going to pop it up. So he said, I said to him, listen, if I do a book, I want it to be like my visual style. I want it to be the clearest cookbook one can have. I want it to be the point where no one has a question to ask. It's to be that clear. I want them to be able to see what they're doing, because oftentimes when I'm cooking from a book, I'm not the type of person who likes to be like, yeah, a pinch of this. I don't know what that means, really. I don't know what that means. How is that? Because then you add too much or too less. I need to put in measurements. That's the kind of person I am. And I wanted the people to see exactly, am I doing this right? And he's like, I'm with you. That sounds amazing. He goes, so that means every recipe in the book you're going to shoot and have a picture of it, step-by-step pictures of it. I'm like, exactly. That's exactly what I want. He goes, that sounds great. He goes, you need an agent. Get an agent, and I can give you some to list, and we'll talk soon. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. Bye. And then I hung up, and I'm like, Rachel, what am I gonna do? I didn't know what to do. I had never done anything like this before. There we go. It popped up. It's gonna begin to count down momentarily. And you just say yes. You just fake it till you make it as well. It's like if opportunity comes, you just say yes, and you figure it out later. And I did. And this was the deal was struck he contacted me in March of 2019. The deal was struck in June, and then I had 6 weeks to write the book. That's all I had. and he was like, so not so many things a little more crazy, but you have 6 weeks. And can you do 6 weeks? And I'm like, well, what if I can't? So I'm like, you just say yes. I'm like, yeah, of course I can. So I came back from Alaska. I went on a little cruise to Alaska. That was fun. And I just sat myself in a room for 6 weeks, and I literally became Jack Nicholson from The Shining. I started going crazy, and I was like, I really started going. It was nuts. And I did it. I banged it out, sent it to them, and then there was some finessing back and forth. And then I had to be like, well, now how am I going to shoot this book? I have to get a photographer. I have a certain budget to work with here. We're counting down, yeah? All right. I have 6 minutes left to talk. And I ended up finding a friend of mine who does a lot of still life. He used to go in actually helicopters around the city and take these beautiful shots of New York City. And he would do lots of still life, but never food. And I said, hey, do you want to, have you ever shot food before? You're interested in maybe auditioning for this book thing? He goes, well, I'm having dinner right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And then what I didn't realize was he's like, no, I'll send you a picture of my dinner. And then in 5 minutes, he took a picture of his basic ramen, and he looked gorgeous. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be fine. If you can do this in no time, I'm like, how long did it take you to do this? He goes, 5 minutes. I'm like, let's figure out something. So he came over. We just for fun, let's see how many of these we can do a day to create a schedule. So we shot 5 recipes in a day just to test it out to see how this can work. Can we do this? So 100 recipes in this book. We started it with 5 a day over the course of 20 days for 4 weeks straight in my apartment in Queens, which is not the largest, okay? And it's because it costs a ton of money to rent this video, and I only have so much to work with. And then my style, and then I'm like, I need stylists because I'm a horrible plater. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a horrible photographer. I'm a horrible plater. If you saw me on the Food Network the show and the Hanukkah challenge thing, they made fun of me. I think one of the judges said my 6-year-old can play better than you, and I was actually laughing when they said that. But they cut to me, but me looking, I was crying, which I was in another part, crying with tears of happiness. But you know how they do that stuff. All the fluff. What was this? So I got thankfully my neighbor downstairs. She, for fun, this is a hobby, like to do food styling. And she's like, I can do it. I'll take a sabbatical from work. I'll do the book. I would love to do this. It would be great for my portfolio. And I'm like, okay, you're hired. To twist my arm. And she goes, I'm like, I don't have a lot to. She goes, don't even worry about it. I'll do it for you. I'm not doing it for you. I'm taking care of you, whatever. And we did this in October of 2020. This whole thing happened. The shoot happened, and honestly, I said I'll never do this again. I can never do this again. I was like a zombie. It was the craziest thing ever, and I just collapsed when this was done. I'm gonna get all this stuff out of my apartment. Like I wanted to this. I had nowhere to sit. It was nothing. But when it was over, and I had a week to recuperate, the sense of accomplishment that came over me that we did all this, and then I announced the book, and the pre-order situation was unlike my publisher certainly didn't, I don't think, expect it to be the way that it went. And I then about a month later, like, do you want to do another one? And I'm like, okay, sure. I can do it again. Why not? If this becomes my life now, so be it. I mean, it's much better than the life I had before. Yes.
Hi.
Huh?
So when you write a recipe, don't you have to get whatever and do it? So how do you do that?
So yes, the way that so I told them with the book, the first one, I have to use a good handful for my blog already because I can't do 100. I'll do 50-50. I took my best recipes and the most popular. It should be in the book. I felt like my sausage and spinach soup and my sausage and shells and my pot roast should be in the book. So, and then the other ones, the thing about Instant Potting in general, or many things, is they become formulaic, and they really do. It's like a liquid ratio comes to a pasta. It's a liquid to a pasta ratio, and if it's a creamy sauce, I know that I have to do the foundation for that, and then it's adding spices here and there, and really just switching it over. That's the way I did it. I'm like, or adding a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and that's kind of how I did it. And I would have to just like sit there, and then I would just lay down in bed, and just like on my phone, email draft and being like, okay, this is this chapter. And I just list off whatever came into my head, so like this type of chicken, this, and then I would just like look at that the next morning, and I'd be like, what is no to this, and maybe I should do this, and finally it just got that way. In terms of testing, it's like, and it was very risky. When I was, there was a good handful that I didn't even test before the shoot, and when there was a moment during the shoot where I'm like, this might not work out the way I wanted to, I knew in that moment how I would tweak it in that moment, and it was easy to do. And then we would just do pickup shots of adding other things into the shot to make it look like it the way it was. So at the end of the day, the recipe is written properly and it should be what it was. But I only had so much time, you know.
So before you became a famous author,
Yeah.
you were a chef.
No, I want to make it so clear. I'm not. That is not what I am. I'm not a chef, even though it rhymes with my name. I should, Chef Jeff, but I'm not a chef. I am a home cook, a guy who loves to cook, and it's my therapy. I was in a job in public relations and advertising, where I did a lot of branded content, video producing, and I was always behind the camera when I really kind of wanted to be in front of the camera. And I had a theater degree also in school, and I just said that when this Instant Pot thing came out, I was like, this is my chance. There's so many people who have this thing and don't know how to use it or refer to use it. Let me put myself on YouTube because people will probably search, how do I use my Instant Pot? And
Yes, exactly.
I guess maybe that was one of the smarter things I've ever done with my life, I guess. But like, it was really so much of timing and striking while an iron was hot. It's still surreal, and it feels like a lifetime ago at this point that it all happened. It's just
When
nuts.
did you start the YouTube thing?
I started in January of 2017 is when I began that. I had gotten an Instant Pot in December of 2016. Are we done? Okay. All right. I'll get right back to that. This is now what we call quick release. I'm half talking, so it's half not. I've never done this with a microphone before. This is called the quick release. We're gonna release the pressure. Now, some people are terrified of doing this the first time because they're like, oh no. So I'll show you, like, it's gonna be like that. But sometimes if you're really that scared, you can do this. And stay a little further away from it if you're afraid, but it's really not that scary. Right. Whenever you release it, it's always good to also keep it kind of not under your cabinets or something like that. Yes, maybe I'll actually release this.
I put a dish towel
You can do that because here's the thing. What am I doing? Sometimes it can spurt depending on what's in there, if it's like butter or something like that. So when that happens, if you get it all depends. You can just put something over it like this and let it just sit there, which is what I would do. But typically, a lot of it has to do sometimes with altitude, or it can have to do with. I actually did put a huge hunk of butter in the middle, and I probably should have cut it into caps. But that's how it is. It's not the end of the world when that happens. That's what you do. Yeah. What was the question? Hello. So the difference between quick and natural release. Quick release is we're going to release it immediately when the time is up. A natural release, we're going to wait a few minutes. So let's say I specify, this mostly happens with roasts or meats. You don't want to typically release it immediately because it can sometimes dry out the meat when it's sucking. You want to let it rest for a few minutes. So if I say a 10-minute natural release, right now, you see this counting up the display? Let it say 1. So it's going the opposite. It's now showing how many minutes have elapsed since the pressure cooking cycle completed. If I say a 10-minute natural release, set a separate timer for 10 minutes, or wait, come back when that reads 10, and then boom, it's ready. And then you want to finish it with a quick release from that point. And that's typically the case. And in any of my recipes, the pin just dropped. I'll always specify if you need to do a natural release in any of my recipes.
All right, this question wrong. What does it say L?
Oh, L is for last time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a little, yeah. So. Yes, exactly. So right now it's on the keep warm setting. It's just keeping itself warm. Like all the pressure is out of the pot. The heat is just on a very low setting right now. Yeah. So basically what you're seeing right now, first of all, my pasta is completely cooked now, by the way. Okay, it's cooked, it's done, it's perfect. There's broth still in this, which is what I want, because now it is time to add cheese and it's going to blend into everything. You can use between really 2 to 4 cups. This is in the book, I tell you how to customize this. You can do how much cheese you want. Okay, you can start with less and always add more. And you can also make it extra creamy by adding in between 2 to 4 ounces of a brick of cream cheese, like a quarter to a half brick of cream cheese. Or you could add some of that boursin in there, a whole thing of boursin. And you can then always make it, let's say you made it, oh no, it's really thick now, I added all these things, just add a little bit of cream or maybe a little broth to it and you're good. It's simple as that. If you also want to season this up a little bit, you can add a little bit of Dijon mustard, just a touch of it, or mustard powder. Or you can also add in some hot sauce. It's really the sky's the limit, and I put all this in the book. This is the basic right now what I'm doing. And you're gonna see, like, we have some mac and cheese going on right here. As it cools slightly, which it will, it's gonna thicken even more. If I want to add more cheese to this, I can. I'll add a little bit more, why not? It's really up to you what you want to do here. And leave that much in there. Okay? And did you see? I mean, you witnessed this, right? How this was not hard. Like, this anybody can do. It was got a little splatter again. And in all fairness, I should have cut the butter into halves because it was a giant. That was a thick piece of butter. Like it's usually I'm used to like the thin right up, whatever. But you see how it is. California butter. But that's it. I mean, this is literally like this is your mac and cheese, and you can again, like I said, it's quick as this, and this is not, it's not really blended yet, I think it's all wet. But this isn't the stuff in the box that's questionable and that weird, thick sauce. Look, I still love that stuff, I'm not gonna lie. But like, this is like, I keep it real, but like, this is like, more natural. And like, back to your question before, Sharon, you can 100% use a fancier cheese. You don't have to even use cheddar cheese. I mean, this looks not too bad, right? I mean, come on, this is easy stuff right here. And I didn't have to strain this. And this thing, I didn't have to get a colander. I didn't have to deal with this and all the steam coming up. If I wanted to deal with steam, I could have just put my face over here while it was releasing. Don't do that though, and all that. And it's as simple as that. Now let's say I want to take this another step further. You want to put it in a casserole dish and cover it with some Ritz crackers and maybe mix with some butter and bake it for a few minutes with golden brown, and you have a seriously delicious mac and cheese. It's as simple as that. I'm a little bit messy, so sorry about that. And now we can dole some out for some samples. If anybody wants to try this, you're welcome to. It's vegetarian, as we use vegetable broth for this, no chicken broth. Yeah. Are there any other questions? Oh, looks like, oh, yes, you did. I feel like I'm working at Costco right now. Like, you know, when you're at Costco, and then everyone hovers, like vultures over the samples. Yes.
So, I'm Krista.
Hi, Krista.
I cannot believe it that you did that. You have no idea how honored I am. It means the world. Thank you.
So going back to where you were saying you want everything simple and broken down and everything so people can follow without any questions.
Yeah.
What do you do for my patients? Because I do occupational therapy, so I have my patients actually just watch the video. I make them look at the recipe. I make them write down everything that they need, all the equipment, all the ingredients that they need, so it's all interactive and physically and they love it.
Oh my gosh.
That makes it
You know, the books were all bestsellers. They #1 bestsellers. I never made the New York Times bestseller list for any of these books, and I don't care because things like that is what matter to me. To hear something like that, the fact that you do something like this for other people and use this book as a tool for that, like, it's the greatest reward I can ever receive, ever. So thank you.
I'll tell you, I never thought
I get like emotional for making mac and cheese. It's really insane.
Oh my gosh. This is probably too big for everyone to do this. But maybe we should do it easier. Maybe we should do it. I don't know. Should we just like let people help themselves do a little?
But I don't know. I also want to be able to sign everyone's book and not keep everybody here all night long or anything like that. But I want to just thank everybody so much for coming all the way out here. Again, I just want to thank you. I don't know what else to say. I talk a lot. I talk a million miles a minute. The #1 critique I get on my YouTube is you talk way too fast. Like, slow it down. And I'm like, well, welcome to New York. I don't know what to say. Thank you. I love it out here, by the way. I absolutely love it out here. The second I stepped off that plane, I was just like, oh my gosh, everything is so much more peaceful, calm. And I didn't have to put a jacket on. I mean, I literally was, maybe I'll wear shorts tonight. Who knows? It's a little short. You guys are freezing. Like, this is so cold. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, I might as well be in like Aruba right now. So, again, I want to thank you all very much from the bottom of my heart for coming. And any questions you have or whatever you come up, I'll be happy to sign all your books, take a picture with you, whatever you want to do. So, thank you. And also,
So tickets in here, and I'm gonna do. How do I open this? Oh, okay. All right. This is gonna be given away, and the lucky winner, Lori.
Congratulations, Lori, on winning the giveaway. I'll sign it for you if you want. It's gonna be. I mean, I think they'll do their best to clean it out so they can take it with you. Yeah, you can just take a small copy too.
No more samples.
Yeah, okay, great. And here, I'll move this over here. So what do you want me to go to use the signing stuff? Is it here? Okay. I think we'll get all that away. Okay. Whatever's easiest. Oh, no. Okay.
You know, you said that without us, we wouldn't be here, but without you, we wouldn't be here too. So thank you so much for making it so easy to follow. I feel like a professional. My husband listens, so thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. It is my absolute pleasure. And I want another thing. Like I'm so fortunate. I've been to many cities at this point doing a few of these. And this is the first one on the West Coast, by the way. I would love to do more on the West Coast. You are all the nicest people, and every time, and the bookstore is always tell me I've never seen people as nice as the people who come to see you, and that really says something to me. And how fortunate, there's so much stuff these days. We're on our phones and all these, just look at all these comments and they're everywhere, and people are just like, you know what I mean? And it's refreshing to see some really, really wonderful people here. And I'm just like, I was up at 4 a.m. I'm getting a little emotional. Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to Disneyland tomorrow. So if you talk about stuff, you know I'm a big baby and I love Disney. So, and again, I can't wait to meet you all personally and take a picture and sign your books. Thank you so much for coming. I feel like I'm gonna have a bad back. I'm standing there the whole time. I adore you all. Thank you.